Hey YouTube, Chris again. This is State of the Collection Volume 2. We got 11 games that I picked up to add to the collection of all the Final Fantasy games. Let's run through them real quick. We're going to start with the PSP titles that I picked up. The first one, really cool get, kind of hard to find even on eBay, which is where I ended up getting it, but Final Fantasy Type 0 for the PSP. This game didn't come out in North America for the PSP, or in English for the PSP at all. But it did eventually come out for the Vita and PlayStation 4. So we're not going to be playing this version, but I do have it in the collection. It comes with a product registration card and the manual. Really awesome, really cool. Now if you are interested in playing the PSP version and you can find it, there is a fan-made translation patch available. So keep that in mind. Next, I picked up Final Fantasy Disidia. Now, so this and one other game are the only games that I didn't pick up locally. When I get to the one I didn't pick up locally, I'll let you know. But Final Fantasy Disidia, or Disidia Final Fantasy, it's kind of a fighting game. Like, I don't know if anyone watching this remembers Guys for the PlayStation 1, but it's kind of like that, but a little bit more polished presentation. It does have the manual, reversible cover. It's in really good condition. I'm really pleased with it. Then we have Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions, the 20th anniversary PSP remake/re-release of Final Fantasy Tactics that was on the PlayStation 1. This adds a couple job classes, I think, and some cinematics. Really beautiful looking cinematics. I can't wait till we get around to this one because I just love the art style in it. Unfortunately, no manual, and I have yet to clean the name off of the case. But, got it! And then, also as part of the 20th anniversary of the Final Fantasy series, what many consider to be the best remake of Final Fantasy 1, which, here on the channel, we're getting close to finishing the NES release of Final Fantasy 1. But, this has really beautiful, high detail sprite work, and the music is fantastic. The one downside is, in my opinion, the full motion video cinematics from the PlayStation 1 re-release made their way into this one, and they don't age that well. They were super cool for the time, but by the time this rolled around, sometime later, I really think they aged poorly, and I guess Square Enix was still obsessed with CG full motion video. But still, many consider it to be the best version of Final Fantasy 1. And then we have Final Fantasy 4, the complete collection on PSP, which is Final Fantasy 4, Final Fantasy 4 Interlude, and Final Fantasy 4 The After Years. One of a million re-releases of Final Fantasy 4. But this and the Nintendo DS remake are considered to be the best versions by a lot of the fans. And it all depends on what you want. If you want gorgeous two-dimensional sprite work, you go with the PSP. If you want a really neat, almost chibi stylized 3D remake, you go with the DS version. They're both great, but I'm really happy to have this. And it does have the registration card and the manual. Really cool. Whenever we get around to the PSP games, I'm not going to be playing off the discs because, you know, PSP UMD drives, they are mechanical, they are somewhat prone to failure, and PSPs are getting harder and harder to find. When I went to go pick mine up, because, well, I have a stack of PSP games, I drove all around the city for like an entire day looking for a PSP. I did eventually find a PSP 3000 in not fantastic condition, but it's working condition, and I have used it to make ISOs of all these games. So when we get around to playing them, no, we won't be playing the disc, but we are going to be playing ISOs made from these physical copies. So in my opinion, that's just as good. I'm just not risking the discs or the drive in the system. This I picked up yesterday, Final Fantasy 15 Day 1 Edition, which isn't that big of a deal because you can still pick up the Day 1 Edition brand new on Amazon for $48. But I picked this up locally from a guy who just kind of was, he was done with the game. He wanted to move on to something else. Figured he'd try and recoup some of the money. I picked it up for about $30. Not bad. Probably still more than a complete inbox copy, complete inbox used copy of Final Fantasy 15 is worth. But why I'm not heartbroken about paying that is the disc is in perfect condition. It's just great. This gentleman took very good care of the game. It comes with everything as if it was a brand new copy, including the ad for World of Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy 12, Zodiac Age. What passes for a manual these days? Kind of ashamed the manuals aren't really big anymore. The code for the Day 1 DLC. I believe it's probably been used, but it is neat to still have that insert. And this neat little signature card of everyone on the development team. Really cool. And it does have a reversible cover, but you know, I think I'll just go with the modern style when I can. I've heard a lot of complaints about Final Fantasy 15 not being a real Final Fantasy game, but I'm kind of excited about the idea of a road trip story with high magic and monsters. For years I've been saying we need a road trip movie with the Hulk and the Thing. I think that'd be great. Not an original idea, by the way. So, moving on. Final Fantasy, Crystal Chronicles, the Crystal Bears for the Wii. This is one of those games that you either love it or you hate it. But it's in really good condition, has the manual. I'm really pleased with it. It's just got some sticker gunk on the case. I'm not that worried about it. Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy 3. I believe this is, the third installment of the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy. It's got the manual as well as all my receipts. And the disc is in really great condition. You can pick up the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy for pretty cheap, just because it wasn't that light. Or that well light. Let me see if I can English here. And this is the other game I didn't pick up locally. It's the greatest hits version of Final Fantasy 13. It's in really great condition. It still has the product registration and the manual. And I got this on Amazon, believe it or not, for about $13, which is something close to what I would have paid locally. And it was a little bit of a gamble because you never know if the seller is trying to exaggerate the condition that something is in. But moving on to what I consider the big gets, other than Type 0 for the PSP, is Final Fantasy Mystic Quest on the Super Nintendo. This completes out the North American Super Nintendo collection. Only 3 games released. For some reason Final Fantasy V wasn't one of them. But this was made for the North American market. It gets a lot of flack for being a dumbed down Final Fantasy, but we'll make our own judgments when we get to it. And the biggest get, let me just get in close here. You hear that? Sealed copy of Final Fantasy, The 4 Heroes of Light. I don't know much about this game, but I'm going to leave it sealed until we get around to playing it, which does require me to get a DS capture card. But that'll happen eventually. There's too many DS games we've got to play for it not to happen. But anyway, I'm really happy about that. It means it's got everything in it, right? Now, I don't go for sealed copies, but this is the only one I've found around here. The only copy of this game. I would have taken a loose cartridge, but I don't have to. So, that's everything. Let me know what you think of the collection. You know what, I'm not done. Jesus. Okay, so, to finish out the report on the state of the collection, that puts me at like 60 point something % of the collection complete. I think that's a pretty big milestone. We're over the halfway point by a decent margin. And we've got the complete Super Nintendo. Not too hard, but you know, Mystic Quest can be hard to find in certain areas of the country. And the value of what's collected so far is about $560. The value of what's left is about $440. So it means if you have a complete collection, That brings the value to around $1,000. So as you can see, it's not a high value collection, but it is a high sentimentality, I guess you could say. And I don't know, it's just nice to have something to collect other than Pokemon. But let me know what you think down in the comments. Here comes the shilling part. If you liked the video, please click that like. I understand if you don't, because I don't. Full transparency there. Please consider subscribing. If you really like what I'm doing, consider the Patreon. Yeah. If you have any ways you think I can improve these videos or the Let's Plays we're doing, because they're not getting much attention, leave a comment down below. I'm willing to listen to anything. Even if you say I hate your face, get off YouTube. You know what? Maybe you need to hear that. Anyway, over and out. Watch 6.